Big poppin', money in the bank coming, dropping a deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me big poppin'. Money in the bank coming, dropping a deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me what the topic.
I don't know what I was thinking. Putting an ice cube in my mouth, a big ass ice cube, and chomping it and thinking I would have it completely dissolved and all of that in time to be able to greet y'all. But if you're true Henny Gang down, then you already know your girl has an ice addiction, okay? For my nerves, for all of that, girl, I be chomping, okay? So if you are new here, you gonna have to deal with occasionally, deal with a little I try to mute and I try to do it off camera, but sometimes that urge be a little too great. What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the bar. It's your favorite guy, Goldie. I know. How long you been here? Like 3 years? Girl, you know about me and my ice. But anyway, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the bar. It's your favorite guys and Dr. Into That Girl, Henny. And today we are going to be pouring up on some Karmelo Anthony court docs. Okay, so the last time we left off with Karmelo Anthony, we had gone through the motion to recuse that was filed by his new dream team, 6-person defense lawyers. Okay, so we went through that, and today, you guys, hey, Big Gene. Today, I have a little treat for you because Henny Legal was able to pull some partial transcripts from the Karmelo Anthony. I guess this is their exhibits that they're doing, and we have the partial transcript. Dun, dun, dun. And this partial transcript that I'm going to be reading for y'all, oh baby, this is the conversation that everybody wanted to hear about. Because remember how I was telling y'all when people was covering the case and we was over here talking about it, how there was a point in time when everybody was sent out for lunch and they were supposed to come back at 12:30, and 12:30 came and went and nobody went inside until 2:30. And then we found out when Mike Howard did his affidavit that they were inside doing some negotiations and some flim-flammery and some foolery. The train was chugging down the track for the railroading of Karmelo Anthony. And we was all saying, what was they up in that courtroom talking about? Child, I got it. I got what you want. I got what you want. I got what you need. Make sure y'all are leaning on the like and sharing this out, because you know, this ain't my normal content. And I want to say shout out and thank you to everybody who is embarking on this new journey with me of new content, of court cases, court docs, and real life. Now, that don't mean that I'm not going to be reading whack court docs, because I will. Shout out to Big Gene. Hey. Big Gene is a member. Welcome to the other side. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate you so very much. Let me tell y'all something about Big Gene, okay? Since he always do this when I come on his channel. So I'm sitting in the Diddy trial, right? I'm sitting outside minding my business, and I see this tall drink of water walking, and I looked, and I said, that's Big Gene. I had to hurry up and get inside because I had to sit next to him in court, you know. So I sat next to him and I smiled and I said, hey, Big Gene, I'm that girl, Henny. He said, oh, that girl, Henny, what's up? Felt so special. Shout out to you, Big Gene. Y'all know I'm playing. He know I play. Y'all know I play all day. Anyway. So shout out to all of y'all for coming with me on this new journey. We're still doing our Wicked Wednesdays. I'm going to be doing full court doc reads over in the members. Okay. So y'all will get the full court doc reads. I don't think I'm going to be doing court doc reads in the public unless I have to. So if you want to hear them and be entertained, You're going to have to be a member. All right. So without further ado, let's get into this because we have a couple 2-3 things that we're going to have to get into. All right. All right. So before you guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am presenting to you the partial record. Now, I know, is this the right one? Oh, yeah. The partial record. Because now, if you remember in that recusal, right, to remove the judge and in the thank you, Big Jean. He said her smile so beautiful in person. Thank you, Big Jean. I appreciate you. So now, when we was listening to the motion for the new trial and the motion for the recusal, remember they was talking about how the judge was holding the transcripts and the court documents in his chambers under an oral restriction. What the hell is that called? An oral restraint, basically, because he wasn't trying to let it go and he was holding them as paper files. Well, we were able to get the parts of the transcript that the defense is more than likely going to be using. And this is the transcript from the jury trial that happened on June 8th. June 8th is the day that that big gap came into question. And it is also the day that Carmelo decided that he was not going to he wasn't going to be testifying in his own defense. And so we're going to see, or hear rather, the fuckery that was going on in the courtroom that he was watching, hearing, and seeing, because he's watching his defense lawyer do this bullshit in front of his face. He's watching the prosecution do this bullshit in front of his face. And he's watching the judge do this bullshit in front of his face. And so are his parents, and so are the Metcalfs. But you know who wasn't in there? The jury or the public. Let's get to it, okay? So this is from the June 8th day. And inside of the courtroom, there is the attorneys for the state of Texas. You have Greg Willis, you have Bill Werski, you have Mr. Dewey Mitchell, you have Miss Lisa Braxton, you also have Miss Christina Skipper, Miss Elisa Matley, okay? Alyssa Matley, excuse me. The attorneys for the defendant, Mr. Mike Howard, Miss Tasha Gupta, and you also have Mr. Toby Shook. Who else is in this courtroom? Karmelo Anthony is in this courtroom, okay? His family will be joining him in this courtroom. So now let's get to it. It says the court. They said, let the record reflect that the jury has left the courtroom. The jury has left the courtroom, okay? Everybody listen to security staff as you exit. Remember, you have to re-screen to be in your seats by 11:05. Let's go. So this is the judge addressing everybody, okay? The bailiff says, all rise. The court says, everyone be seated. Mr. Howard asks, may he approach? And they have an off the record discussion. So don't nobody know what they talked about. Okay. Judge Roach, we're not going to call him the court. We're going to call him Judge Roach, says, all right, ladies and gentlemen, based upon my sidebar conversations with counsel and how to proceed best today to make it the most efficient, we're going to go to lunch now and we'll be reconvening at 12:30. Listen to the security's instructions, please. So this is where everybody, including the jury, gets up and they leave and they go out to lunch. And this is where we see the YouTubers outside covering, telling us that they're on lunch. So Judge Roach says, all right, ladies and gentlemen, based upon my, I already said that, right? All right. So Mr. Howard, which is Carmelo's lawyer, says, Judge, may I ask a question? So Judge Roach says yes. And Mr. Howard says, do we need to bring the jury in to tell them that we're going to lunch? Or so Judge Roach says, we'll tell them we're going to lunch. Is that okay with counsel? I'm just going to say, hey, we're going to take a break. Lunch is coming in until 12:30. All right. So they're situating the jury for lunch. All right. So now here we go. The counsel right here. We're moving from there. And we're going here. Counsel is in chambers. Okay. Now, this is where we're going to get into some things. So Judge Roach says, come on up here. Y'all come up here and keep your mics on. Mr. Rollins, if you will lift the microphone up for the defendant, please, because I will be asking him some questions, the defendant being Karmelo Anthony. All right. And he says, we're back on the record in State versus Anthony. So everyone knows that they're being recorded at this point because he says we're back on the record. Okay. So he says, president of the courtroom are counsel for the state, counsel for the defense, and the defendant. The jury is not present, nor is the public at this point in time. Okay. So we have it on record who is in the courtroom. This is not just hearsay. All right. We are at a point where the defense has to call its next witness, and it appears, at least to the court at this moment in time, that the defendant is going to testify. And that's why we're having this outside of the presence of jury and the public. Any objections about doing this way, Mr. Worski? And Mr. Worski, who is the prosecution for the state, says no. So Judge Roach says Mr. Howard, and Mr. Howard says no. They ain't asked Carmelo if he was okay with this, but let's continue. So Judge Roach says, Mr. Howard, I noticed that your client's parents are not here or anybody on his side. We get open courts questions. We get open courts questions sometimes on appeal. Do you understand that I'm offering to let them in? So Mr. Howard says, I would like to be able to get them in just so they can hear all of this and help make the decision. So at this particular point in time, I don't understand why they are asking if his parents should be a part of these proceedings when his parents have been a part of the proceedings this whole time. I don't understand how you bring this defendant out into a courtroom with just the prosecution and the defense, and you don't think that his parents would want to be a part of this process. Hold on one second, y'all. Let me get my charger because I did not anticipate my MacBook acting funny. Hold on, I'm coming. Y'all know I got to reach over and get my stuff. Hold on. All right, I'm coming. Now, at this point, you can't say that Carmelo is a minor because he is not a minor. He was a minor when this happened, but he is now, 19? I believe 19 years old, right? So he's not a minor. But why the hell wouldn't you want my parents to be in here? Because y'all about to do some malarkey and some fuckery. That's why. Because there's some fuckery about to be afoot. Anyway, so Mr. Howard says that he would like to go get the parents. So the parents, he says, the Judge Roach says, okay, who do you want? So Mr. Howard says his parents, his mother and father. So Mr. Roach says mom and dad, or Judge Roach says mom and dad. Okay. Any other objections to constitutional questions with regard to open courts or anything else? And Mr. Howard says, no, sir. So Judge Roach says, with regard to not having anybody else in the courtroom, Mr. Howard says, correct. No objection regarding constitutional Sixth Amendment, open courts, regarding having no one else but the parties that are here for the state and the defense plus, and Judge Roach says mom and dad. Now pause, stop for a second. Let's think about what we just heard. So we already know, this is what we know. We know that Mike Howard has already come out and told us that him and Mr. Worski, the prosecution and the defense, the state and the defense, have sat down in the judges' chambers and they came up with this whole gentleman's agreement that they were going to do. That gentleman's agreement was done in secrecy. Nobody knew about this until the court dates was over, the trial was already had, and we got on appeal. That's how we found out about all of this. So now we hear that they are about to have a proceeding going on where it is just the parties, the defendant, his parents, and I believe the Metcalfs were in there too. They may not have been, they may have been, I don't know as of yet because I didn't read all of it because I wanted to give y'all my honest reaction as I was reading. So we're still having meetings in secret, and now you're making the defendant complacent to y'all bullshit and subjecting him to this because you know they don't understand anything that's going on around them. These are not seasoned criminals. They don't understand that we're having a conversation in secrecy, even though it is on the record. The public doesn't know this. Anywho, let's proceed. Plus the defendant and mom and dad of the defendant. So Judge Roach says off. And guess what happens? They go off the record. Off the record means, for those who don't understand, not that I feel like anybody is slow, but you have to remember my demographics go from 16 to 65 plus. So for those of you who do not understand off the record discussion, that means that the court stenographer, the person who is sitting there typing all of this stuff up, is not typing what's being said at this moment. It's a secret. So they still having secrets. Even in the midst of this secret meeting, they're having secrets still. Let's continue. So Judge Roach says, Mr. and Mrs. Anthony, just have a seat, okay? We are back on record as requested by the defense. The defendant's mom and dad are present in the courtroom. Nobody else is. And Mr. Howard waived any objections to anybody else being in the courtroom. So Mr. Howard says, and I reinstate at this time that waiver has not changed from moments ago. So Judge Roach thanks him. Mr. Howard, that is. I never understood it. LOL, don't type it, but pretend like you didn't hear it. Right. That's exactly what happens. Hey, everybody coming into the chat. Give me a minute and I'm going to take a break from reading. I'm going to greet everybody that's in here, okay? Please be sure that you are leaning on the likes. We are reading the transcripts from June 8th, the day that the secret conversation was being had right before Karmelo Anthony was supposed to testify, and he denied to do so. So, Mr. Worski says, Judge, Migo, you okay? He sounded like a big dog just then. Judge, at this time, we would like to put some things on the record. The parties in this case, the state and the defense, have had an agreement whereby the defense would not try to go into character evidence on our victim or victim's twin brother. In exchange for that, the state would not withdrew any intent to go into 404B type evidence on the defendant. So far, we're towards the end of the trial, and that agreement has held. Okay, it has held. The parties got a chance for the first time this morning to work through how the agreement would be held with a testifying defendant. Okay, this is Mr. Worski talking now. This is the state. He says, I believe we have an agreement that we can now put on the record. Obviously, my concern, since we didn't talk about it until this morning, I would like the defense to be very clear for the record, not necessarily for us, because we all know that for courts in the future, that nothing changed. We just worked through the details, and nothing, by working through the details, nothing would be unfair surprise to the defense or cause any change in trial strategy, especially with respect to whether the client waives their Fifth Amendment right and testifies. So Judge Roach says, and I think we probably need to do this at this time, which is y'all had a gentleman's agreement. The court was somewhat advised of the gentleman's agreement before we started. Stop right there before we proceed. You see how Judge Roach tried to back himself up out of that gentleman's agreement when we already read that the gentleman's agreement took place within the confinements of the judge's chamber, and they drew up a lemonine. I think that's how you say it, a lemonine agreement. And it was a bogus, it was, just a little something that they drew up and drafted between the two of them. It wasn't really an official document, but an official document, basically a bootleg document that outlined the agreement in front of the judge. They exchanged it. But you see how he tried to backpedal himself out of it and said was somewhat advised. No, sir, you were somewhat a witness, very much a witness, all the way a witness to this. Anyway, let's continue. But nothing about the agreement has been put on the record. There has been what's the gentleman's agreement that we keep talking about, right? So Mr. Howard goes on and says, do you want me to go ahead and take over that? So as Mr. Worski just put on the record, so the state has filed its. So Judge Roach says, no, it is not filed because they never filed. They never filed anything, nothing. So Mr. Howard says, I'm sorry, you're right, not filed. The state has tendered to us and had tendered to the court for review only, and neither side had filed. You never filed the gentleman's agreement because you knew good and damn well you couldn't file no bullshit like that on the record, and the peoples wasn't going to find it. See, y'all was depending on this boy not going for an appeal. Mm-hmm. And if he did, he was going to have a state pretender to do the work for him. Mm-hmm. And I only say state pretender because whoever it was that got set up there that worked for the state, they would be able to push them over and promise them things that only they would be able to promise them and get them to bow down and enter into another gentleman's agreement that was beneficial for them. You following what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? If you picking it up, drop a Henny glass or a number 2 in the chat because I'm shitting on them with this document. Got to drink me some water when we doing these docs, okay? Anyway, so we had also, the defense has also tendered to the state and tendered to the court for review. So each of us gave notice to the other of, on the state side, extraneous character character 404B, typical type stuff, and as it pertains to this case. So, all right. We had given notice under, anticipated theory of ambiguous first aggressor, how that could make uncommunicated character and reputation evidence admissible on top of the possibility of communicated character. And we gave notice of what we believe that was when both sides had that tendered to them. That is when we had the basis of the discussion of this, what the court is referring to as a gentleman's agreement with, to be clear, the state had brought up the possibility of this agreement before, but there had never been a substantive conversation until the tendering of these extraneous character issues. So what he's basically saying is that Carmelo could possibly get up on the stand and do some uncommunicated character and reputation evidence, present some of that. It could come out in court and it would violate the gentleman's agreement. I smell the bullshit. The bullshit was smelly as soon as we opened up this document. Y'all smell the bullshit? Chat, y'all smell the bullshit? Because I smell it. At this time, we agreed and I drafted a motion in Lebanon that I tendered to the state for review to see if we would have like an agreed motion in Lebanon that would be the enforcement mechanism of this agreement. And that was all character, reputation, and extraneous 404B bad acts of any witness would be limited. So extraneous character, past bad acts, none of that stuff could come up in this trial for either side. And that was our enforcement mechanism. But we submit that to the court, and that was granted, which is what we've been working under all this time. The mechanisms of the agreement were, and we are on the record, but not public, that there were certain, for lack of better terms, bad evidence, alleged bad evidence that had been found by the state on the defense's phone, stop right there, and other places that they intended to use, and that they were offering to not go into that at all. So he says the reason why defense counsel went into this agreement is because there was stuff on Karmelo Anthony's phone. It was bad evidence. I guess they're saying this evidence would have looked bad for him on his phone and other places, like maybe his social media or something like that, or text messages. We don't know. I don't know if they're going to say, but as of right now, they haven't said. But the government made them aware on some, you sure you don't want to enter into this agreement? Because this what we found on your boy right here. And because we found this on your boy right here, if you don't enter into this agreement, we're going to drag him. We're going to bring all this out at trial, especially if he gets up there on that stand. You sure you don't want to enter into this agreement with us? That's how this went. And I think the description was, try this case based on what happened that day, which I will just say, I also interpreted to, mean also the state of mind of the people on that day, descriptions of the state of mind of the people on that day, not just the physical facts of what happened, but not to go talk about the character and reputation of the Metcalfs, the character and extraneous reputation of the defendant, and that both sides were getting, a quid pro quo. That's what Mr. Howard considered this to be. You ain't going to talk shit about my client and put on no bad information on them. And we won't put on the bad information about the Metcalfs. One hand wash the other, both hands wash the face. A quid pro quo, meaning you do this for me, I do this for you. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. So now Judge Roach says benefits, asking what were the benefits of this quid pro quo gentleman's agreement. So Mr. Howard goes on and says, substantial benefits, yes. This was a discussion that this was a prolonged discussion between the parties for the state and the parties for the defense. That throughout that process, my co-counsel, Mr. Shook, and Ms. Guapta, I'm going to say Guapta. And if it's not right, Gupta, I don't know. We're going to call her Guapta. Okay. And I had numerous discussions among ourselves and with our client and his parents about the strategy of that decision, of how we're, of course, giving up some things that we felt were in good faith, admissible, but that we didn't know how the court would rule. But we would be gaining the benefit of we would also not have the court possibly rule on the admissibility of things that we were worried about. Stop. Call the whole guppy at this point. Krista, did you just wake up? Now listen to what they just said. Okay. Mr. Howard is saying we entered into this agreement, and he is also saying what I told you guys. What I told you guys, that the parents knew and Carmelo knew about this gentleman's agreement, and they were advised that this was the best possible agreement for them to enter into because they were worried about whatever it was that was in Carmelo's phone, whatever it was that they're saying his reputation was. They were worried about that. That is what Mr. Mike Howard is saying. And he's saying to them, and you're getting an idea of how he presented it to them. Listen, you know them photos? And it's probably the photos that we already know about. You know, him with the air rifle, with his friends. You know, those photos. Those types of things. We're worried about how that's going to make you look when you get on the stand. We're worried about what people are going to get up here and say when you get on a stand. So this is a good deal. You know, we don't know how this is going to work, how it's going to rule out in the end. But for right now, it gives you a fighting chance because we're not going to enter any of this stuff into the court system. It won't be brought up at trial. But the only other thing is we can't mention nothing about the Metcalfs that we discovered either. And all they're hearing is this benefits Carmelo, so they enter into it. Child, I wish I could have been there just as a person that was just sitting there witnessing stuff, because I'd have been like, no, this sound like Hustle Man off of Martin trying to sell you one of them pigeons that he got on a stick, telling you that it's a rotisserie chicken, but it's a pigeon from Central Park. You feel me? Y'all got duped. I'm just wondering why his phone was at any interest based on the incident in question. It's evidence. They're going to take his phone. It's a means of communication. Right. That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying right here. This is what I'm saying. Love and happiness. That's all. Mike is tripping. I would have went. Listen, I couldn't have been Carmelo's or Anthony's lawyer because I'd have been like, look, this is what they offering you, but we going balls to the wall. You hear me? We going to lay it all down on the ground. And this is what I'm going to do. That we know now that we know what they have, right? We going to have to Eminem them in 8 Mile. We're going to have to jump out and we're going to have to introduce this stuff before they even get a chance to say anything. We got to lay this groundwork down, this foundation down, and we're going to have to bring it up first. So we're going to have to explain this. So we cut them off at the pass. This chess, not checkers. Mike Howard is playing playing checkers on a chessboard. Anyway, this was something that had a tremendous amount of thought. It is a very unusual situation, but this case has also been very unusual. The amount of publicity, the amount of animosity, and Judge Roach says misinformation. Mike Howard says misinformation and turmoil and everything. Threats to the parties, for the state, for the defense, for the defendant's family, myself, the court, everybody else. So on record, they are also admitting that everyone received threats on all sides of this case. Okay. And we also felt that this gave Mr. Anthony the best chance at a fair trial for not only procedural due process, but actual substantive due process under the federal constitution and the Texas Constitution. And I don't see how. And we had discussions to the effect to that effect with Mr. Anthony, and felt that he fully understood that. And that was our strategic decision in getting to this point. I believe that covers it. So that's all Mr. Howard had to say at that point in time. So Judge Roach says, do you want to add to that, Mr. Worski? So Mr. Worski says, I would add just a few things. So Judge Roach says, okay. So Mr. Worski for the state says, counsel mentioned evidence in our 404B notice. I will just note for the record that we developed it not just from the defendant's phone. There is actually some evidence that we had we're going to ask the court to rule on, developed through interviews, more than just the phone. So they had people talking. Okay. Counsel and I talked before we went on the record. The state intends to honor the bargain, but I believe both sides are making a distinction between the character evidence governed by the agreement versus prior inconsistent statements. So this is where the state is throwing the monkey wrench in, like, oh, there's been inconsistent statements too. So Mr. Worski says, so I believe those are fair game under the agreement. So Judge Roach says, right, Mr. Howard. So Mr. Howard says, yes. So, and let me speak just briefly. So to what Mr. Worski just said first, I agree. I didn't mean to characterize that it was just from the phone. In general, there was the phone, there was some witness testimony, there was basically everything that was in the 404B, etc. notice. Now, let's just go ahead for 404B. Texas. Okay. So we all are on the same page here. Texas rule of evidence 404, character evidence, crimes or other acts. So we're going to go here. And it's okay. Wait. Character evidence. Prohibits the use of evidence of a person's character or character trait, is not admissible to prove that on a particular occasion the person acted in accordance with the character or trait. B is in a civil case, a party accused of conduct involving moral turpitude may offer evidence of the party's pertinent trait, and if the evidence is admitted, the accusing party may offer evidence to rebut it. So basically what they're saying is, oh, right here, B, crimes of wrongdoing. I'm sorry. All right. So it says prohibits the use of evidence of a crime, wrongdoing, or other acts not admissible to prove a person's character in order to show that on a particular occasion, the person acted in accordance with the character, meaning that on this particular occasion, you would be acting in accordance with your character. So they're trying to say that Carmelo allegedly had a propensity for violence or had a propensity of being in trouble or fighting or whatever, etc., etc. That's what they keep saying when they keep bringing up this 404B. Okay. But yeah, and I agree that deal, for lack of better terms, has held. I believe both parties have abided by it. That deal has not changed. I think Mr. Worski said at the outset of this is, I think the parties had different understandings, but I think that both sides were acting in good faith and interpreting what they believe the other side meant. And that, both of us, I think today realized that the other wasn't 100% on the same page when it came to the defendant testifying. I'm not just saying we are subject to undue surprise or that the state has pulled the rug from under us. I don't believe that that's the case. We do. Oh, love and happiness. Henny Legal pulled this for me. I don't know where they got it from. All I know is I got it. Shout out to Henny Legal, okay? Shout out to Henny Legal for this document. So Mike Howard is saying that he doesn't feel like the defense is pulling the wool from the rug from underneath his feet, but at the same time, they went into this agreement, and the state is saying that they had no idea that they planned on putting Karmelo Anthony on the stand to testify when this is a self-defense case. Because at the end of the day, if it is a self-defense case, then of course he's going to take the stand. So why would he not take the stand? So how could Mike Howard say that he doesn't believe that they're trying to pull the rug from underneath him when they are? I see it, you see it, we all see it. And I wear glasses, so I double time see it. And matter of fact, these bifocals, so I octo time see it. Okay? I'm not saying we're subject to undue support. Okay, I already read that part. Okay. Obviously, we have different understandings and different interpretations of what was said, but and Judge Roach cuts him off and says, we've worked through that. So Mr. Howard says, we have worked through that. Yes. Okay, now. So Judge Roach says, hang on a second. So Mr. Howard says, yes, sir. So Judge Roach says, Mr. Worski, and just with respect to two particular points of evidence, or maybe three, we worked through a scenario that's acceptable by the state with regarding the presence of the knife with the defendant that morning, and do not intend to cross-examine him based on prior character of that with respect to self-defense. I'm sorry, Mr. Worski. So Mr. Worski is the one that's saying, and just with respect to the two particular points, maybe three, he's the one that said that. So Judge Roach says, or facts on that. So Mr. Worski says, yes. So Mr. Worski was agreeing to not bring up the scenario about the knife that morning. And he wasn't going to cross-examine him based on prior character for having the knife that morning. Okay. And he wasn't going to bring anything up about it at all. So Judge Roach says, right. I mean, character one hand, facts on the other. So Mr. Worski says, yes, sir. Yes, character versus facts of the day. You know, we have also talked about retreat, and I believe it's counselor's intentions to ask his client, why didn't he just leave the tent? And I believe counsel knows I intend to follow up on that. This is a self-defense case, and sometimes retreat isn't relevant, and both sides know what to argue with respect to that. But I do expect that series of questions to come from defense counsel. Why didn't you just leave? And I do expect the state will explore that topic, but not with anything character related or anything other than the reasonableness that day. This is bullshit. So if you remember back in the Mike Howard affidavit, Mike Howard said that he basically had laid out his whole strategy and plan for defense for Carmelo with the prosecution. And here you have the prosecution basically telling you that the defense is going to introduce the knife, and they're going to introduce, well, why didn't you just leave the tent? Henny Legal is anonymous, so I don't think you'll be getting that outside of this live. Yeah, they're not, nah. Henny Legal they're not going to do that. Let me tell you something. There's people that have been with me for 3 years and they don't know who the hell Henny Legal is. All they know is Henny Legal be among us. Henny Legal be among us, okay? I'll say I need something and bloop, I got it right then and there, okay? I don't know. I mean, you put the call out, you asking, so, but I doubt it. I doubt that they're going to send it, okay? Because I can't even send nothing without their clearance. And if they say no, then it's no, because they be paying for these documents, okay? You heard me? They be paying for these documents. I can't do what other people money what I would do in mine, okay? So let's continue. So the defense knows what the prosecution knows what the defense is going to say, and they already have their rebuttal, but they're saying, he's going to take the stand, and we're not going to get into character related issues. We're not going to bring any of the lies and deceit. I don't believe you. Okay. Then Mr. Worski goes on and says, and then finally, another issue we worked through was epilepsy and seizures. And I believe the defense has made the decision not to proffer that evidence in respect to the agreement that we've struck. Torpedoed them. So those are kind of the three high value targets. And I would suggest that the court, after the defendant's direct testimony, we take a break. If I believe the door has been opened, the agreement has been violated, we talk about it. We talk about it then. And it seems like a natural point for a break to discuss these issues. So what Mr. Worski is saying is, I'm going to let him get on the stand. And I'm going to let them put on their little testimony. Yeah. What's up with the knife? And what's up? Why didn't you leave? And then I'm going to come in with my 1-2-1-2. But we're going to take a break first so I can let them know whether they violated or not. This sounds like some backdoor Godfather shit going on. Does that what it sounds like to you? Because that's what it sounds like to me. No offense. No offense to La Costa Nostra. No offense. Me, I don't know who Henny Legal is. Right, nobody knows. No shade, but they're new here. Welcome to the bar, babes. Oh, yeah. If you do here, Uniquely will run you through. Henny Legal ain't budging. So he already went into that, all right? So Judge Roach says, I agree with that. So Mr. Worski says, but I think that's all our concerns. So Judge Roach says, okay, Mr. Howard. So Mr. Howard says, yes, Judge. So yes. So as to prior inconsistent statements, because we believe that Mr. Worski just differentiated between character, reputation, and extraneous. I'll just, from now on, we'll just call all of that character, even though, they are separate categories of evidence, separate from prior inconsistent statements. Okay. So let me explain to you something. Mr. Howard, you punked out. Because there is no way in hell he just bowed down. At first, he's talking about prior inconsistent statements and how Mr. Worski is trying to remedy them. He's trying to merge them together to make them all be a character. Okay. And Mr. Howard is just like, we'll just call it all character, just for argument's sake, even though we know the difference between the two. Nah, you agreeing on record that for this case, it means the same. So you can't say even though we know, because guess who don't know? The jury. Okay? The jury don't know. Ooh, Mike Howard, you need to go to the bar and your license needs to be yagaed ASAP. So we had a discussion off the record with the court, but not on the record, to make sure we were on the same page before we got to this point. So putting that, my understanding of that on the record was that when the state says, my understanding of that on the record was that when the state says prior inconsistent statements, that if there is a statement made that is inconsistent, so if Mr. Anthony testifies and he testifies to, and I'm going to just use the evidence that came through Cortez because I think it is the easiest. So Officer Eduardo Cortez has testified to, and his body cam showed that Mr. Anthony said, I'm not alleged. I did it. Okay. That if Mr. Anthony were to say, I didn't say that, then obviously that would be an inconsistent statement that could be impeached, but that it would be opening the door because of part of our agreement. Well, opening as part of our agreement. And we're not talking about the court's enforcement. So you see there? How does that even open up the door to violating the agreement when the agreement was supposed to be for past prior acts, bad behavior, et cetera, character, and all of that? How does an inconsistent statement align with the bad? See, you're trying to marry the two. And you want to try to marry the two because you want to paint him as a liar on that stand. So Judge Roach says, we'll talk about that in a minute. So Mr. Howard says, or what this ruling would be, but that our understanding of the agreement would be that that would not. The prosecution is agreeing that we would not go into, quote unquote, prior inconsistent statements that was from their extraneous notice, like something off of his phone or something off of the other witnesses and other testimony that would then, or possible testimony that had been developed from the 404B notice. Did I state that correctly? So Mr. Worski said, I believe so, counsel. The way the state is thinking about it right now, prior inconsistent statements from that day or the future moving forward. I mean, obviously, everyone is aware that the defendant in this case gave a volunteer statement to law enforcement. So that seems to be the primary areas of concern. All right. And we'll say we've had discussions. I'm sure the court will address that. Both sides know that it is not up to the court to enforce this. The court is not bound by it. The court is bound by Texas rules of evidence, and both parties know that. So Judge Roach says that's exactly what I was going to point out. So this is them, Mr. Worski coming up for air with a brown streak on his nose saying, Judge, you can't enforce any of this. You have nothing to do with this. So we're putting it on the record, basically, that you have nothing to do with this. And this is our agreement. The audio on the police cam did not capture that statement in its entirety. Carmelo said, I know how this goes. I'm not alleged. Well, it's not alleged. She said, I'm not alleged. I did it. It was taken out of context. And I agree with you. I agree with you, Flo MacArthur. Give back all the GoFundMe money, Mike. Well, he needs to give it back to the family so they could pay these new team of lawyers, because that was a waste of everybody's donations if I ever saw one in my life. That trio needs to give back the GoFundMe money. And you know who else? Dominique Alexander. But let's continue. So Judge Roach continues. He says, are you finished, Mr. Howard? So Mr. Howard says no. So Judge Roach says, go ahead. So Mr. Howard says, so with this, so that was the first issue. On the retreat issue, so Mr. Worski said, that the issue of retreat, and I agree with Mr. Worski's proffer of what the anticipated testimony would be, that I would ask about why not just walk away, or why not, I don't know, that I would use the word retreat, but why not just walk away? And that Mr. Anthony would give his answer to that Mr. Worski would be able to ask follow-up questions about that. That as long as Mr. Anthony's answer was not, has not opened the door in some way, like, for instance, non-exclusive list. But if he said, because I don't like to fight, or I don't get into fights, then that would clearly open the door to evidence that was to the contrary. So boom. There's evidence of Carmelo Anthony getting into fights. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Mike Howard, you were scared to bring up that this boy has had fights before. Have you even gotten into why he was having fights? Am I too loud or am I okay? Am I too loud or is the volume okay? Because I feel like I'm yelling. So he's supposed to predict what he's going to. I'm okay? Okay, good. Because I don't want to be too loud. So he's supposed to predict what he's going to respond and say, or he's going to tell him what to say. Now, I'm good for y'all. Okay, thank you so much, you guys. So, CJ, great fucking question, my girl. Shout out to CJ for that question, because it definitely sounds like he's telling him what to say, right? Like he's going to tell him what to say so that he does not open the door. He's going to have to tell him what to say. Carmelo can't answer this freely because he just said, as long as Mr. Anthony's answer has not opened the door in some way, like for instance, non-exclusive list. But if he said, because I don't like to fight or I don't get into fights, then that would clearly open the door to evidence that was to the contrary. If you don't know contrary is on the opposite of it. So that means that they know he has a history of fighting. So he can't say, because I don't like to fight. He has to answer it in a roundabout kind of way. But if he said, I'm just making things up, they're so big, or, I was just really scared in that moment, there was so many of them, that wouldn't, by our agreement, again, not by the court's ruling, but by our agreement, wouldn't have Mr. Worski go into extraneous based on, am I saying that right? Extraneous? Yeah, based on that. And that's my understanding. So, as long as Carmelo didn't say nothing about he don't like to fight or he don't fight, because they have evidence that he does, and then in their eyes, that would be him making, what did they call them? Inconsistent statements. And if he made that inconsistent statement, then that would open the door for the prosecution to come in and introduce their evidence. Now, let me tell you where this is bullshit at. Because by this point and this stage in the trial, the prosecution has rested. They've called all of the people they're going to call for the state. But if you open the door with the defendant on the stand, tank your motherfucking case. You see there? Let's see. Breon says, lawyer sold out, never trust blue-eyed men, that's devil. Bible, literally, not the Bible. Not you don't went biblical with it. Flo says also, it is also good that for the new team to look at contributions to the Anthony family members by the 4506T external revenue transcript that will be provided. What and who contributed were reasonable people. So Flo is suggesting that the defense team look into who donated to both parties. All right. So he says what he would say, and that wouldn't go against that. And so Judge Roach says Mr. Worski. So Mr. Worski says that is correct. Everything counsel just said is correct. I'm hoping he is about to cover seizures and epilepsy. So Mr. Howard says, yeah, I'm just trying to be very thorough for the purpose of the record. So Judge Roach says, you're doing great. You're doing great. So Mr. Howard says on epilepsy seizures, yes. So we have reached an agreement that I will not, and Mr. Anthony will not testify to, and I will not ask questions about seizures and or epilepsy, anything of the nature. Now stop. Why would you even agree? Let me keep reading before I even get myself in a tizzy. All right. Again, to the extent that we have made a strategic decision that we are getting, value from that and enforcing this deal, and that any risk that could open the door in their mind and then subject them to asking for a ruling, then that would be of a concern to us. So we have made this strategic decision based on a lot of conversation that is of value to us. Judge Roach says, in conversation with your client as well. So Mr. Howard says, yes, in conversation between ourselves and with our client, all of us in the room, including the parents. I needed a minute. I be trying. I be trying so hard. I be trying so hard to have empathy and compassion and understanding. I really try. I really try. Your son has a medical condition that if he's hitting the head the wrong way, he could have an epileptic seizure. This is his self-defense. And you allowed your counsel to enter into an agreement that you were very well aware of, where you wouldn't mention a key point, the key factor that could make or break self-defense. Bree, you read these already? I take it. You're going to have to inbox me and tell me you read these already. There is a difference to being green to the law and just plain being gullible. And I'm sorry I have to say that, because y'all know I'll be fighting hard for these parents to be understanding and compassionate to them. And because they have never had to go before a judge, they are not, people who have dealt with the courts, obviously, and they were walked into this blindly, and they are blindly trusting people to guide his son and them through this process. But when it looks like shit, it smells like shit, and you step on it, it's shit. In the state's understanding, that would have... Wait. Let me go back. Mr. Howard says, yes, in conversation between ourselves with our client, all of us in the room, including his parents. Mr. Worski says, in the state's understanding, that would have been offered as to the reasonableness of self-defense. But counsel has made a choice pursuant to that agreement not to pursue that. Did y'all hear what he just said? Why is this not marking? I don't like this. It's not marking, guys. Just that right there. In the state's understanding, that would have been offered as to the reasonableness of self-defense. But counsel has made a choice pursuant to the agreement not to pursue that. The state knows if you would have put that shit on the stand, if you would have brought in medical experts, his pediatrician, to testify to the fact that he has a history of epileptic seizures, to testify to the fact that just last year, the year prior to this happening, he had a shoulder injury, to testify to times when he possibly was hit in the head and had an epileptic seizure, or how many times he got into a fight that may have been racially motivated and was hit in the head and possibly had a seizure. Has that happened to him in the past? You erased his whole... You took the bullets out the pistol and gave your client an empty gun and told him to shoot at the lion. Mr. Howard says that's correct. It would, yeah. The anticipated value of the testimony is that it would be something, that it could have been something that was in his mind that led to his reasonableness of fear, of his fear. But I do understand, and we understand strategically that, that is arguably, from the state's perspective, getting closer to the line. And because that line is fuzzy, and you never know what a person is going to say until the moment, we have made the decision that it is safer to stay away from it. Fuck that. I would have went balls to the wall. I don't give a damn what y'all got. Because if we taking this off if you would have took that off the table and you would have brought the Metcalf's bullying and if you would have brought whatever evidence you had that showed the propensity of violence, the pattern of bullying, the arrest for racial graffiti, the teacher's testimony, the school records in there. So what if Carmelo had some fighting going on? That would have painted a character of the people he was up against. I'm pissed off. I'm ready to throw this vape to the side and grab me a whole pack of Newport 100s and get to token. So Judge Roach says, anything else, Mr. Worski? So Mr. Worski says no. Huh? Mike tripping. Bring Hunter, big 6 foot, 200 pound bring his ass in that courtroom and put him up on that goddamn stand and make him attest to everything he did. Put them cheerleader emails up there. Bring that coach up there. Explain what happened. Did you call the police? Why did you advise that she call the police? Is this something that you've witnessed before? Because you said in the email that he has a history of doing this. What are some things that you have witnessed with him? Miss so-and-so, you're their teacher. What have you witnessed? But come on, bro. You killed this whole case before it even had a chance to go. You really fucked this boy. And the parents just sat back. Under the guise of these people are doing what's best for my son, but you take the epilepsy and the seizures off the table. That would have been enough for me to say, nah, fuck this agreement. So Mr. Worski says he has nothing else. So Judge Roach says, okay, the court has some things when y'all are done. So Mr. Worski says, I don't believe anything else from the state. So Mr. Howard says you referenced at the beginning, but that the way the knife got there. And Judge Roach says, oh yeah. So Mr. Worski says, it's to my understanding, the defendant's story is going to be he grabbed the wrong book bag and took it to the track meet. How the fuck does he know that? Because Mike Howard already told us that he had to present the questions that he was going to ask Carmelo and what the answers were going to be in order to make sure that they didn't trample over this fuzzy line and open the door for the defense to be able to come in and trample all over him and bring in his past bad acts and paint him as the villain. Come on, bro. Come on. But I don't plan on going into any hysterical or character-based, anything hysterical or character-based. Yeah, fucking right. He's going to get up there and say that, and you're going to take a break, and then you're going to come back because you're going to tell them behind the scenes that if he says that, you are going to say that he opened the door. And when y'all come back from break, you're going to drill that boy down to the bone gristle. We already know how it goes. So Mr. Howard says, yeah, the idea would be it was in a bag. He grabbed the bag and took it. At some point at the meet, he realizes it's in there prior to going into the memorial tent. So we're not claiming accident or anything like that. Yes. But that is the terms of our agreement. And so my understanding is that, that if we stay within those bounds, the agreement between the parties hold. Bullshit. Bullshit. Hello? Is anybody home? This motherfucker's running game on you. And he done brought you all the way here. Mr. Worski, that's the state's agreement, Your Honor. Judge Roach says, okay, all right, what else? For the record, we've been talking about this in chambers off the record. We've talked about it in court off the record. I have never seen a case where the attorneys worked together, went over the cross-examination. Hello? We've talked about this in court off the record. I've never seen a case where the attorneys worked together, went over the cross-examination. I'm sorry, the direct examination of the defendant with the prosecutor to help ensure that the doors aren't being opened. And although I am mindful of the agreement between the parties, I have told the parties this already off the record. That puts the court in a little bit of a bind because I'm not here to enforce agreements between parties in criminal cases. And to the degree that motions in limine are involved and things like that, I think there is an agreement. If the door has been opened, you're going to approach the court. But the court does not find itself bound by the agreement between the parties. If asked to make a ruling, it will be based on the rules of evidence. And that is all. And has nothing to do with this agreement. Although I appreciate it more than you know. The judge is saying, all right, now look, it's been talked about off the record in front of me. But I done already let them know. I'm going to rule on what I'm supposed to rule, and I'm not going to be bound by this agreement. And I ain't never seen a case before where attorneys work together. The judge literally fucking said it himself. He literally says it himself. We've talked about it in court off the record. I have never seen a case where attorneys worked together, went over the direct examination of the defendant with the prosecutor to ensure that those doors aren't being opened. He's never seen it. We've never heard of it before. I appreciate it more than you know. You understand that, Mr. Howard? So Mr. Howard said, yes, I do, Your Honor. So Judge Roach says, Mr. Worski, you understand that? So Mr. Worski says, yes, Your Honor. So Mr. Howard says, if I may just say one thing for my client's behalf in this. So I think, Carmelo, that the import of this, I can't even read right now. Hold on. I need a second. Judge Roach definitely deserves to be recused because you allowed this shit to go on in your fucking courtroom. You're the judge. You're over this. You know that this wasn't right. You know this wasn't right. You know this wasn't a fair trial. Your ass needs to be recused and thrown off that motherfucking bench today. Not tomorrow, today. Mr. Worski, you need your law license taken from you. Mike Howard, you need your law license taken away from you and everybody else that was involved in this fuck shit of a deal. I know those cheerleaders were ready to testify, Bree. I also know that those cheerleaders are the ones that The cheerleader is the one that leaked that email out. I know because my gut tells me so. I don't know because I have firsthand knowledge. My gut tells me that that's where it came from. There were people that were so fed up with those Metcalf twins that they were ready to talk. Let's finish. We have this page and 7 more pages to go. And then I'll probably drop my link so y'all can come up here and y'all can tell me what y'all think. And I really, really hope that y'all hit that link and come up here. I really do, because I know good and damn well everybody got something to say. Mr. Howard says, if I may just say one thing from my client's behalf in this. So I think, Carmelo, that the import of that is in the event that we on the defense team, you and your lawyers, honestly, in good faith, believe we have followed the deal and the prosecution has differing views, as much as we could think that they are wrong or maybe even ridiculous, it wouldn't matter. If they feel it's been broken and they approach the judge is not enforcing this deal. And he would make a ruling based on the law and the law alone. And that would be, we would be stuck with it. And I'm not saying this would happen, but no matter how much we disagree with it, because there is no such thing as an enforceable deal between the parties in a criminal case like there is in a civil case. That's not this. So this deal is a, gentleman's deal, which gentlemen's agreements are not enforceable, okay? If we got to that. Do you understand that? You have to respond out loud. Carmelo says, yes, sir. You look that boy in his face and you told that boy, if you get on this stand, Jesus, you dirty bastard. They did that boy so wrong. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm triggered. Want to read that again because I need everybody to understand what he just told Carmelo to his face. He said to Carmelo, imagine this. Carmelo was sitting there. He's scared. He doesn't understand what's going on. His parents can't guide him through this process because they don't know. They're putting their trust in this 3-person team that they have, that they're going to do what is best for him. And this attorney that talked them into taking this gentleman's deal, telling them every step of the way, while the prosecution put on their witnesses with ease, with barely any objections at all, no calling out of impeachment for people getting up on that stand and committing perjury. We're not going to call the witnesses that we said we're going to call. We're not going to use the defense that we originally were going to use. We're not going to bring up the Metcalf's past history and how they were violent and they're bullies. And we're not going to bring up your epilepsy. And we need you to lie on the stand. Because this is going to work. We believe this is the best strategy for you. And after souping them up and gassing them up and telling them that you are doing what is best for them, because this deal, it's going to work in our favor. You now turn to this young man and you look him in his face and you say, Carmelo, the import of that is, in the event that we on the defense team, you and your lawyers, honestly, in good faith, believe we follow this deal, and the prosecution has a differing view, as much as we could think that they are wrong, or maybe even ridiculous, it wouldn't matter. If they feel it has been broken and they approach the judge is not enforcing the deal. He would make a ruling based on the law and the law alone. And that would be, we would be stuck with it. The judge can't intervene. Even if we know we're right and we didn't violate, we didn't open the door, but the defense feels we did, they could lie and say that we opened the door. And the judge can't do anything about it but stick to what's law. And from that point forward, the door would be opened. He goes on and tells him, I'm not saying that would happen. But no matter how much we disagree with it, because there is no such thing as an enforceable deal between the parties in a criminal case like this. In a criminal case like there is in a civil case, that's not this. So this deal is it's a gentleman's deal. Which gentleman's agreements are not enforceable, okay? If we got to that. Do you understand that? And Carmelo answers, yes, sir. Carmelo understands that you just fucked him. You lied to him. You got him all the way here to tell him this. Judge Roach says, okay, are we okay with going to admonishments? I think I said that right now. I think it's a good idea. Raise your right hand, Mr. Anthony. So Carmelo gets sworn in. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? So Mr. Roach says, okay, put your hand down. All right, state your full name for the record. Carmelo Sincere Anthony. Judge Roach. Mr. Anthony, are you the defendant in this case? Is that right? Carmelo, yes, sir. Judge Roach, okay. And you understand where we are in this case? Carmelo, yes, sir. Judge Roach, can you explain to me where we are in this case? Carmelo, almost to my testimony. Judge Roach, almost to your testimony. That's right. So the next thing we're going to do when the jury comes in is ask the defendants to call their next witness, okay? And so this is the point right now that I'm sure you have talked about for a very, very long time, is whether or not you decide to testify or not testify, okay? I'm going to explain to you that if you decide not to testify, that fact cannot be held against you at all. And I will specifically instruct the jury that they cannot hold that against you at all, okay? And we talked about it a little bit And you were there for Voltaire, right? But I will tell the jury, hey, listen, the fact that someone testifies can't be used as a fact or circumstance against the defendant for any reason. They can't go back in the jury room, and they can't go back in the jury room, and they will be instructed that they can't go. Well, he didn't testify. It must be true. They're not allowed to do that, okay? On the flip side of that, if you decide to testify, then they can use anything from the moment you walk up to the stand and open your mouth. They can use everything and anything for you, against you, or neutral. You do understand that? Carmelo says, yes, sir. Judge Roach says, and then you also understand when you get up on the stand and you're asked questions by your own lawyer, when they are finished, I'm going to turn it over to the state of Texas to ask what we call cross-examination questions, okay? Carmelo, yes, sir. Judge Roach, and you cannot refuse at that point to say, okay, I'm going to plead the fifth now with the prosecution's questions. You have to answer those same questions just like you did for your own lawyers. Carmelo, yes, sir. Judge Roach, okay, finally. This is pretty heavy stuff, okay? And you and the things you have got going for you, the things you have going for you is you have got good lawyers. Good lawyers? And they can make recommendations to you as I think you should testify. I don't think you should testify. And we will have those conversations, right? The defendant, yes, sir. Judge Roach. But at the end of the day, at the very end of the day, it is your decision and your decision alone as to whether or not you're going to testify. Carmelo, yes, sir. Judge Roach, okay. So I'm going to ask you the ultimate question shortly, but I'm going to let you step out and have this conversation one more time with your attorneys. And you're going to decide whether or not you want to testify and subject yourself to cross-examination by the state. And all of that I just went over with you, okay? Carmelo, yes, sir. Judge Roach, okay. Step out with your attorney and we'll talk in just a moment. Go ahead, Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard, if we could just have a moment for him to use the restroom. Judge Roach, sure. Mr. Howard, and then get his parents back in there and be able to have a conversation. Judge Roach, go do it. They recess. Judge Roach, we're going on the record in the state versus Anthony. Present in the courtroom are counsel for the state, some of them, counsel for the defense and the defendant. It's my bad. Mr. Worski asked to step out and I forgot I allowed him to. He's supposed to come right back. Mr. Howard, I don't mind holding him accountable, Judge, for being late. Judge Roach, good luck. Can you tell me what your client's decision is? Mr. Howard, he's not going to testify. Judge Roach, okay, thank you. Can he get in? Mr. Worski is now present. Mr. Worski, in your absence, I asked the defense attorney, Mr. Howard, if his client is going to testify or not. They have chosen he is not going to testify. Mr. Worski, not going to testify? Judge Roach, yes, sir. Hey, can y'all come up here? I want to talk to Mr. Anthony real quick again. So Judge Roach wants to talk to Mr. Anthony. Carmelo says, yes, sir. Judge Roach, okay, Mr. Anthony, we're back. Remember, and so I told you that you can listen to your lawyers and all that stuff. And I'm sure that they've given you great advice, pros and cons for both. But ultimately, it's your decision. And I know your parents were in there too, to help you. What's your decision? Do you want to testify or not testify? Carmelo, I don't want to testify. Judge Roach, okay, I appreciate it. Did you think you had ample time to talk to your lawyers about that and got feedback from them, feedback from your family? Have you had enough time to make that decision? Carmelo, yes, sir, we did. Judge Roach, okay, I appreciate it. Y'all have a seat. Mr. Howard, thank you, Your Honor. The court, Judge Roach. So with that, Mr. Howard, when the jury comes back in and I'll say, call your next witness, what's the defense's response? Mr. Howard says, we'll rest, Your Honor. Judge Roach, close. All right. Let's go off the record and talk some logistics real quick before I bring anybody in, because I have to instruct the jury on what to do tomorrow. And they are off the record. I wouldn't have testified neither. His lawyer threw him to the wolves, and the judge gaslit him. Is that what y'all saw? Let me get this off the screen. If you're just coming in, or if you came in and you don't know what we were just doing, we were just reading the partial transcript from June 8th of the Karmelo Anthony trial. That is the portion of transcript where conversation was had in a closed courtroom out of the earshot and eye shot of the public and of the jury, where the prosecution and the defense had conversations in front of Carmelo Anthony and his family about this gentleman's deal. And where in the end, Carmelo was ultimately advised that should he take the stand, no matter what he said, no matter what they did, if the prosecution felt that they opened the door that would violate that bullshit gentleman's agreement that they had, that there was nothing that anybody could do, and the door would be open, and the prosecution would hammer Carmelo with prior bad acts, character assassinations, etc., all after the prosecution had already put on their case and rested. The judge made it very clear that he would not step in, could not step in, and would follow the law. The judge then sat and gaslit Carmelo Anthony. I would go as far as to say they scared that boy out of testifying. And after a brief recess, he decided not to testify on his own behalf. And his attorneys thought it a good idea to enter into this gentleman's agreement, knowing this boy's life was on the line. There's people out there that feel like Carmelo had a fair trial, and I question their humanity. How could you possibly feel any of this was fair? How could you not see the railroad? Unless you're the motherfucker cracking the whip as the tracks were being laid. It's the only way you can't see the railroad. I'm going to drop the link for anybody who wishes to come up and add their 2 cents. I did get emotional because, for those of you who don't know, I do have a son. that is currently serving time in a Florida State Correctional Facility. And this makes me think about his case and how he ended up taking a plea for 25 years. Because he felt that that was the best deal for him, and he didn't want to listen to nobody else. He felt that the lawyers had his best interest at heart. But I saw the prosecution was setting him up. So this triggers me because this type of railroading happens every day. Every day. In America. If you are Black and you are a defendant, you are guilty until proven innocent. And they will use tricks, ploys, and tactics to get the most time out of you. Prison is big business and it's private corporations. It's not state facilities. They're privately owned. They're cheap labor. And according to the 13th Amendment, they're slaves. See, people were talking about Karmelo Anthony's prison photo where he was shaved bald and he looked like a modern slave. Oh, they trying to be funny. Yeah, they were. But that's really what your child, your loved one becomes when they become inmate 5611261B. They're a slave. That system was never made to be just, it was made to enslave people of color. It's disgusting. What I just read was disgusting. I thought Mike Howard's affidavit was disgusting. This transcript is vile. It's putrid. It's rancid. It's filled with good old boy politics. Disgusting. Why didn't they say call his parents in when Karmelo Anthony went to the restroom? I don't know where his parents were at that time. I don't know why they didn't bring the parents back in. I don't. Maybe the mother was too upset to go back in at the moment. I don't know. No, he didn't have a defense. This is a lot to take in. It is Purple Doll. It is a lot. Roach spoke to Carmelo solely without his parents present. Go back to what was read before defense asked for him to go to the restroom. They said, bring the parents in. Yes, he spoke to him before his parents came in there. They spoke to his lawyer before he came in there too. They spoke to the lawyer before Carmelo came in there, and they spoke to Carmelo before his parents came in there. But Carmelo was not a minor. You got to remember that. Hey, Henny, I'm confused. So I know he was confused. This is crazy. Yes. It was nothing fair about this trial. Exactly, Kit Kat. I don't think Carmelo had a fair trial. Absolutely not. This is heavy, Henny. It is. It is, Michelle. Because they racist. And it shows. Nobody with common sense would have taken that deal. And if they did, they'd have said, fuck it, once they realized how fucked it was. His lawyer 100% set him up. But the problem is, by the time they would have been saying, fuck it to this deal, we just going to roll the dice, the prosecution's case was already done. The prosecution's case was done. They already hung their hat on the deal. What you going to do? Call witnesses at the last minute and expect them to come in? You didn't even have any time to prep them. You didn't have any time to present evidence. Too far in the case. Too late in the case. There was nothing that could be done at that moment. Carmelo was fucked. There's no getting around that. Hey, Golden baby.
Hey, lady.
What's
You
going on?
you know I was over here cussing and screaming and hollering. You know I was. I
I
calmed
believe
down.
you.
I calmed down a little bit. I had to wait a minute because the setup was it was already set up. Not even from the beginning. It was. I mean,
It was from the beginning, from the jump.
no.
It was a
I'm
setup.
saying it was set up from the day it happened
Mm, mm.
because they say that they didn't go find this lawyer. The lawyer came and found them.
Well, I don't know how true that is. What I do know is they already Carmelo. Okay, so his parents already had lawyers,
Hmm.
but Dominique Alexander.
First off, you do not go with nobody who got a criminal record to tell you where the hell to go get a lawyer from.
Hmm, well,
I
then
mean, you
there's
can't.
that. But he told them to go with this attorney's team that they went with. And that's how they ended up with Mike Howard and Toby Shook and Miss Gwupta, whatever her damn name is.
Excuse me. This was
Bless
a
you.
whole setup, and it's really getting on my nerves that they keep on playing with us. Now, when we do the flipsy flopsy and go to the left and to the right at the same time, everybody gonna think we're crazy.
You know, the thing that bothers me the most is that there are still people that are of every ethnicity, and it shocks me that are saying he had a fair trial. How could you read these documents and feel
That's the
he had a
thing.
fair trial? Where?
That's the thing, Henny. We think that they have and my mama get on me about this up until she passed all the time. How we think people have the same common sense that we have.
Yeah, common sense ain't so common, and just because you're a certain
No.
age don't mean you got none neither.
No, my mama used to be mad as hell at me because I used to be like, "How does mother? She went to school with me, and you act like they got to do the same things you got to do. Your ass was spoiled. They was living in the projects, like for real. Make up your mind. They don't know the same things, and they don't have no common sense on how to get to the same thing. But we assume that they do because that's the way we are.
True. You know, I was really debating about coming up here and reading the transcripts because I didn't even read all of them. Because y'all know how I do. I glance through some of it, I skim through it, and then I'll be like, okay, let me get up here because I want to give y'all my
Right.
honest, real reaction because I'm reacting to this stuff. I don't want to just get up here and read something I already read and got emotional about. I want to read it and I want to give y'all whether it's me being comedic and saying something in that moment because that's what came to my mind, me sitting and critically thinking about something in the moment. I want y'all to have that real moment with me. I was not expecting this to hit as hard as it did. This sends a shiver up my spine because it makes me think how many other people have been railroaded like this, but they don't get a pro bono dream team.
But it happens every day in every inch of this country. I'm not saying that every person that goes to court get railroaded, but
Right,
there's
right, right.
more that do than those who don't.
Exactly. Exactly.
Especially if they think that they don't have no support, they don't have no they family don't have the money. You know what I mean? When they look at all of that, they get railroaded.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the young people that's out here that they go to jail for little things like they might have went in the store and stole a bottle of water.
Oh no, they're losing their lives over bottles of water now.
Right,
Because look at what happened to Cyrus Belton.
right. I agree
And
with
he
you.
didn't even steal anything. The cop got on the stand and testified to that he didn't steal nothing.
And then they kept saying that he didn't have no money. And my whole thing was, I send my grandchildren $20 every day on their
Mhm.
cash, not cash app. What's that little Apple thing? That Apple Pay.
Apple Pay.
So no, they ain't got no money in their pocket. But guess what? They got $20 on their Apple Pay to go to the corner store. So when they say that you don't know what that little boy had on his Apple Pay or his Cash App, or he may not have had no cash in his pocket.
Listen, I don't walk around with cash on me no more.
I
I
don't
used
either.
to. Everything is digital wallet and all of that. I barely even take my cards out with me. Only time I take my cards out with me is when I'm going to Walmart or Home Depot, because those I think are the only two stores across America that don't take Apple Pay or
Well, see,
Google
I don't
Pay.
go to Walmart, so I don't know. You know, I put my foot down. I ain't doing it.
Well, I have no choice.
No,
The
I mean everybody.
the next option for me is Tarjay, and I said I
I'm
refuse to
not
get
going there
caught
neither.
coming out the door. I could get away with Walmart, but if I come out with that red Target bag, oh no, I could get away with Walmart, but not Tarjay.
I don't go in none of them. Like I got all. Well, see, I'm in the Bay Area, right? And
Mm-hmm.
because I'm in the Bay Area, we have a lot of little places. So it's a lot of places I can go other than those two. I ain't going there. But it's crazy that they would set this boy up, and then the paper, the transcripts are being released. I kept saying, why the hell do he still have them in his office? Why haven't
First
they
of
released?
all, these ain't even full transcripts. Okay, because that transcript is a partial transcript because we don't even have what happened the rest of the day on June 8th given to us. These are particular pieces of transcript that are needed by the defense as evidence, but they ain't giving them the whole transcript. So we're gonna have to get it in bits and pieces. But see, where they done messed up at is we done already got the motion for a new trial, which included Mike Howard's affidavit. We done got the recusal for the judge, which included the affidavit of oh my God, Russell Wilson. His affidavit is in there about how he had to view this stuff under file. I mean, under the courts, he couldn't take nothing out, couldn't do nothing. He gave an affidavit for that. And in those affidavits, it basically was telling us what was going on that was bullshit behind the scenes. So now when we get to this portion of transcript, this is the part that everybody wanted to know. We wanted to know what was said in that courtroom, what was going on in that courtroom behind closed doors, because the YouTubers and the journalists were all outside curious as to what's going on. And Neek, shout out to Neek at night, because I was watching her when she came out. Oh, I don't know where you went, Goldie, but you dropped. She came out and she said, we're supposed to go back in at 12:30, but we're still out here. We're still out here. And they didn't know what was going on. And then that's when they came out and the different YouTubers were saying when they went into the courtroom, Carmelo was in there, the state attorneys were in there, the defense attorneys were in there, his parents were in there, the Metcalfs were in there, and Carmelo's mother was upset. She looked visibly upset.
Right. I remember that.
So now everybody was wondering what happened, what was going on, what were they doing in the courtroom, and why was she upset?
Well, we knew that when they took that 3-hour break, because do you remember we was talking about that day, about them taking that 3-hour break.
That something wasn't right, something
They
wasn't
said
clean in the
that they
milk.
was
We
full of
knew that.
BS.
But what was going on is what we didn't know. We knew
Right.
something was going on, but now we know. And now we know exactly why. When people keep asking, why didn't Carmelo testify? Look at how deep this got.
Well,
Look at how this got. The damn judge gaslit him, Goldie.
I know. The judge and the prosecutor.
The prosecutor ain't do nothing but lay the game down. The judge gaslit that boy into not testifying, scared the shit out of him about testifying. And his lawyer walked him to the slaughter. Y'all know how in them old, I don't know what happened, Goldie. I think you having some reception issues, babe. Y'all know how the only movie I can think of is Indiana Jones. Y'all know how they would walk the people they sacrificed, and they'd have the volcano, and they walked them out on this plank, and they would have to jump. That's what the hell Mike Howard did. Made him walk the plank and jump into the lava. This is some bullshit. Well, you guys, I'm gonna drop the link one more time, and if nobody else wants to join, then I will be closing this out. I need a minute. I thought I was gonna be able to jump back on here maybe at 10 p.m. to give y'all another live and an update on Nolan Wells and what I've been working on with that. But you know what? I don't even think I want to be bothered. There you go, Goldie. I don't know what happened. You disappeared for a minute. Goldie, you there? Okay. I could hear you clicking around. All right, so Goldie has dropped down again. So listen, you guys. Yes, exactly, Bree. They had that bus ready for him because they already knew what they was doing. They already knew what they was doing, baby. They knew. That's why he was taken into custody and then the next day shipped into a state facility. No state moves that quick. Nobody moved that quick. I don't give a damn. New York has more prisoners going through their system, I'm sure, than Texas. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know they have court going every goddamn day, okay? And they don't even know. When you get to the county, you could spend where I lived at, you could stay in the county for up to a year before you go up north. Come on, man. Well, I want to thank Goldie for coming up. I want to thank y'all for tapping in and tuning in. You're welcome, Flo. Thank you, Henny. Maybe this case will bring the change that yes, I'm hoping. These lawyers did nothing. They need a refund like now. They need their law degrees taken from them. They need to go answer before the bar. The judge is retiring in 6 months. He needs to retire now, right now. And I'm hoping, because they do have, before we leave, they do have, there is a new judge on the case. I don't even know if I got to put that up. If I got to put that information up for y'all or not. I don't know. I don't think I posted it on IG. But let me get this up here for y'all really quickly. Maybe this will make people feel good to know that there's been some type of movement that has happened on this case. All right. So, hold on one second. Let me get this. There we go. All right. So this right here before you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is the First Administrative Judicial Region order of assignment by the presiding judge. Okay. So it says the judge is assigned to preside over the motion to recuse the Honorable John Roach filed in case number, and they give the case, State of Texas versus Karmelo Anthony. This assignment is effective immediately and shall continue for such time as may be necessary for the assigned judge to handle this motion. It is ordered that the clerk of courts to which, hold on one second, Bree. Such time as may be necessary for the assigned judge to handle the motion. It is ordered that the clerk of courts to which this assignment is made, if it is reasonable and practicable of the time that permits. So the judge that is going to be presiding over this and making sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and that Judge John Roach is up out of here, will be the senior judge, the Honorable Sid L. Harley. and he is the senior judge of the 226th District Court, and he's being assigned to the 296th District Court of Collin County, Texas. So the motion for Judge Roach to be recused has been put in, and yeah, it's been assigned to a judge that will make that decision as to whether or not he has to step down. Hey, Bree.
Hey, is my reception bad? Because I'm in the car.
No, you sound good.
Okay. Well, shoot, now we want to start talking. Okay. I wanted to respond to a comment I seen where they were saying that like this was set up from the beginning. It absolutely was. Like absolutely. I told you, Henny, I've been following this since it happened. I've been advocating for this baby since it happened because we were trying to prevent this from happening.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, y'all.
It's okay, girl. This is an emotional case. It's heavy.
It is. It is. From the moment that happened, it wasn't treated. It should have. They did not ask him what happened when he said they put their hands on me. They never treated it as a self-defense case from the beginning, which was the start of the railroad. Right.
I agree.
They never treated him. That was the moment where they were supposed to say, okay, well, what happened? What happened to you? You know,
they never sat down and had that conversation. Remember, I kept saying, okay, wait a minute. So there was no interrogation. There was no nothing. Like y'all just took him straight to the jailhouse, made him strip down and put on his prison clothes and made him an inmate from the gate. They never, if y'all think back, they never took him to the station. They never did none of that. They booked him, they processed him, they jailed him. That's it.
And his parents didn't know where he was.
Exactly.
And that's what bothers me. You know what I mean? Something like that happens and you have to get an email. You have to find your baby off of Life 360.
Right. Another Life 360 case.
I'm ready to have my kids download that because I'm like, this, I mean, come on. This is getting scary, y'all.
Let me tell you something. Life 360 is the bomb. Okay. Hey, Life 360, you could sponsorship. Okay. I advocate for you, okay? Because even though they say that they do not track your phone when your phone is off, yes, they do. Yes, they do. Like your phone died, it still track you. And that was one of the things that sold me on Life 360 because I said, if my kid gets snatched up and they throw that phone, you know, that phone dies or they turn that phone off or how am I ever going to find? No, they'll track that phone.
Exactly. So
they just can't tell you that, but they do.
Right. I'm like, I'm about to get on that.
Definitely. And guess what? It will pinpoint you right to where they at.
I see. Of 2 cases we know, and then and helped in 2 cases we know. So I'm sold. I'm definitely sold. But what else I want to say? Nobody else was arrested in that. Since when do you get to assault somebody and get to go home, change your clothes, and going about your business? You know what I mean? Like I understand there was a life loss, and I'm sympathetic
why
to that.
wasn't the Metcalf twin who was involved in the altercation taken in as well?
That's what I'm saying. Since when is that?
Why weren't any of those kids taken into the station for questioning?
None of them.
They were just questioned right there on site. None of them went into the station. Did they go afterwards? Because I'm from my understanding, there are statements that were given at a later time. Aside from the police reports that we have, I've never had those. I've never seen those. I've never gotten those. Any legal can't find them.
There's no tracing of them. There's no tracing of them. They say they went in, but who knows at this point? Who knows? But
but all of that is supposed to be a part of the public record. That's what everybody got to understand.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be a part of the public record. It's supposed to be submitted as evidence. It's supposed to be on the files. When we go into them files, they're supposed to be in those files. This case, listen, I understand some things cannot be released to us because they're still using it. But the trial is over. We still don't have full transcripts, you guys. He's still holding shit in chambers under an oral seal. Exactly. As a paper file. Who does that?
Roach. Judge Roach.
And that's why his ass is out of here in a couple of months. And he don't give a shit.
He don't. He wants to go out with a bang. You know, this case, I don't know if this is public or not, but this case was not his originally.
There was another judge in the beginning that was on this case.
Yes.
Wasn't the female?
Well, that was his bond hearing judge. And
okay.
I don't know if y'all know this, but the Metcalfs were threatening that woman and like threatening her life for her lowering Carmelo's bond. They, as long as with the family as well, they were threatened. Like I was saying in the live on Instagram, you know, the father had to leave his job, you know, from being harassed.
Yeah,
his family has been through a lot, you know, and they haven't been given a fair shake at all at any way. And then the other, what was the lady's name, Goldie, to speak to that. Toby Shook, he did. He approached.
He asked to be on the case.
He asked to be on the case, and I don't even think that's legal.
You know, I have to say this. Karmelo Anthony's case was the first time that I really started coming over to this side of things like that. You know, Diddy was the ultimate, right? Beginning, but Karmelo, well, David was, but I was still kind of caught up in following along with what people say. And, oh, this is what, and then I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. No, I'm not going to do that. But then I realized that case is so far gone that me coming out, giving my theories, I'm gonna get hung for that. So let me just leave that case until it starts going to trial. And maybe I can tell people what I think. But some of y'all already know because I done shared it. Okay. I'm side-eyeing some of that stuff in that case because there's a lot of stuff they're not telling us in that case too. But Carmelo, in the beginning, I was going off of, you know, I'm feeling my way. How do I cover a trial that I'm not there to cover? Okay, so I've got people that are there that are saying things, but then this is what the internet is saying. And this is what this person said on this video. And oh my God, they said, this was the first case that taught me, Henny, stick to your own thoughts, stick to your own mind, stick to the facts as close as possible as you can. Because in the beginning, I was one of those that was out here saying the parents was using the money for this and the parents was, because this is what I was hearing. But then as I started paying attention and digging in and watching and seeing, I'm like, wait a minute. They've been had that Escalade way before this even happened. Hold on. They live in an affluent neighborhood. Wait a minute. Carmelo's driving a red Jeep Wrangler.
That was all to stop the efforts of the Gifts and Go.
Right. So I stopped saying that, but what I will say today is on my own mind, I'm pissed with his parents. I defend them because they are green, but at the same time, I am pissed with you because everybody can tell that this was some bullshit.
Yeah.
And y'all sat back and y'all allowed this bullshit to happen to your son when you know, I know his mother's gut was telling her that something is wrong with this.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, her son is paying the price. I'm sorry. I'm angry. And I have a right to be angry.
Yes, you do.
I'm not slandering her, but I'm angry. Angry at her and for her and with her.
Yeah, because I'm not going to lie, y'all. After they broke that agreement and they gave her, you know, what she can say to her baby or, you know, for her baby, the way I would have went in there and asked the fool, they would have had to arrest me because at that point, all bets is off.
Because there's nothing that you could do. You can't do nothing now. It's over. You can't do nothing to my son. I'm speaking for my son. I would have told it all on that stand. Do you hear me? I would have got up here and I'd have told everything. Y'all railroaded my son. Y'all tricked us into believing that if we entered into this gentleman's agreement with y'all, that my son would be protected. But y'all railroaded my son. I would have got up there and told it all. See, they knew what parent to do that with.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. If you're going to come out of character for anything, that should have been the day.
Exactly. I'd have showed you.
That part.
I'd have turned that sucker out. I'd have had people running out that courtroom with their microphones. This did so-and-so live for Fox News. Breaking news, breaking news.
Man, mother has been arrested. Like,
okay, for contempt of court. But what she said was
that part. What's that saying? I'll smile on the mugshot for my
that
child.
part. I'd have been
cheese.
Let me make sure y'all get my dimple.
That part. Yes, it's not a laughing matter, but seriously though,
it's not. But look, we're making light, but we know, like, ain't no way. And now that it's out, I'm wondering, why are they so quiet? Like, why are y'all not talking? Are y'all being told not to talk by your lawyer? Like, is that what's being told? Because I want to hear from them. I want to hear from the family. I don't want to hear no sideways talking. Oh, we felt like we were taking it. No, walk us through this. Tell us what it was like to hear this, the initial thoughts of all. Come holler at me. Somebody tell the Anthony family to holler at Henny and come have a conversation, because I'm going to ask the questions that we all want to know. Y'all know I'm not going to drag. Y'all know I'm going to get to the questions.
I'm going to hit you in the back end.
Okay.
I'm gonna message you.
Okay. But yeah, I would love to have a conversation. Because first of all, mother to mother, I understand.
Yeah.
And that hit me so hard, because I know there's so many mothers that can relate to, oh my God, my child is being railroaded. But what I need them to do is keep the faith and keep the strength, because they have a blessing that not everybody gets. The average everyday person whose child goes into the courtroom is not so blessed or fortunate to have not one, not two, not three, but 6 high-powered attorneys that range in everything from civil rights to high-profile murder cases, that are seasoned veterans that said, I'm taking this case pro bono. We don't get that. We don't
I think the state wasn't ready for that.
No, they weren't. They were not expecting that. They thought he's going to file this appeal. He's going to get this court-appointed lawyer, and we're going to railroad him some more. Yep. But they weren't expecting this. But see, everybody doesn't get that, and they need to be thanking the Most High God and counting their blessings for what just came into their life. You know what I'm saying? What I will say is I'm a little disheartened. I'm a little confused. I'm baffled, because I'm hearing, and it's not a comparison thing, but it kind of is, but it's a comparison to these celebrities. Byron Allen donated $100,000 to Nolan. Colin Kaepernick, is paying for the private investigation. Tyler Perry is paying for the funeral. Where are the celebrities that are donating to Karmelo Anthony?
Oh no, I can't hear
for his appeal.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can't hear you. I'm gonna drop down. I don't know how to drop down.
Drop down and come back up.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's bothering me, because what? Nobody is willing to help Carmelo as well. Now I get it. Nolan lost his life. I get it. You know, that's something that's gut-wrenching. It's taken a hold of the nation. It's a case that we're still trying to figure out as people together. But why is nobody donating to Carmelo the way that they were donating, the way that they are donating to Nolan? Okay, Bree, you have to allow your camera and allow your microphone in order for it to let you up. Oh, yes. Carmelo lived in their neighborhood, but was definitely not one of them. They should be quiet and ashamed of themselves. Well, Bree. Oh, she doesn't know how to get down. Let me put her down so she could possibly come back up. All right. This is, you know, it is what it is, you guys. Hey, Yonsei, you tardy to the party, baby. Did you say? And that's why Roach will not get up off the case because he didn't expect for anybody to have that access. And once they start accessing and see all the shit he has been doing, his retirement is over. Girl, he need to be terminated ASAP, immediately. Thank you for being true, because honestly, if had not been for internet journalists like you and Nick at Night, this would have fell on deaf ears and eyes. Legacy was dehumanizing him. You're welcome, Cherry Blossom. And yes, they've been dehumanizing him. But you know what? Aside from the celebrities, you know what? Nancy Grace, you little nasty, vicious wench, you was out here vilifying Carmelo, but I don't hear you saying nothing about any of these documents that's been going on. I don't hear you talking about no gentleman's agreement. I don't hear you talking about the recusal of the judge. I don't hear you saying nothing. You just moved on and you keep going over there vilifying David and all this other. I ain't hear you retract not a damn thing. I ain't hear none of them. None of them legacy media people that was paying Karmelo Anthony out to be this villain. I don't hear none of y'all talking right now. Why is that? We know why. Never mind. We ain't gonna wait.
Right. I'm sorry, I didn't hear nothing that you was at when you said why, and then it just went blank because I got a call.
Oh, so what I was saying was, why is it, you know, and I'm not saying anything bad, you know, shout out to the celebrities that have donated to Nolan, but you've got celebrities donating, Byron Allen, Callan Kaepernick, Tyler Perry, donating to Nolan, but nobody has donated to Carmelo. And I get it. Nolan died, but at the same time, you know, rest in peace to Nolan, but it's like, dang. What are we really saying though? What are y'all saying? What message are y'all sending as Black celebrities who make money off of our dollars? Y'all, where's Jay-Z? It's The Rock, right? You done made people change laws and shit, right? You want everybody to go to Tarjay. Why you not on this? I've said it before. He went harder for Meek Mill, who's a celebrity, and you ain't involved in this. Where y'all at?
I'm wondering the same thing. It's a good group of us that's been working together to advocate for him. We have emailed and messaged so many people, not even just for money, but just for advocacy, to speak on it, to just get it out here. Like I said, we're trying to prevent the railroad. We got turned down, all the way down to politicians. I don't even, y'all favorite, Black politicians, they wanted millions of dollars and stuff, that are speaking up now. They wanted money. They wanted a good amount of money, so I don't know. I don't know why.
And see,
I don't know.
Beyonce, you from Texas, girl. Shame on you. Where Megan Thee Stallion at?
Right? I feel like people just didn't want to put their hands in this because where it is, who is dealing with, it's deeper than we all know. And I know you're into all this, Henny, so I'm sure you know about Paxton, right? About his son being there.
Underneath the tent.
So I feel like,
Let me tell you something. Young Miami made a funky ass post, and that's it.
Oh, did she? I didn't even see that.
She made a post on her page about Carmelo, and from what I'm understanding, it was during the midst of her getting backlash for that spin that shit. She done made a post about Carmelo. Girl, fuck you and that post. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
that's why I don't buy none of y'all albums. I listen to it on YouTube, or I got my Apple Music that I pay for every month, and I listen to it on there, but I will not pay for y'all music because y'all don't do shit when we need y'all to do shit, but y'all will take our dollars.
Exactly. Yeah, it's sad, but I got faith that he's gonna come home. It's gonna take some time, not even as much time as as we call them, the McCathians, think he is. This is moving along, you know, and
Wait,
I
hold
just
on,
got.
Bree. Not our Yonsei, the real Yonsei. I'm not talking about ours.
You know, but I hope, you know, I just hope this moves along and he gets to come home and move forward with his life because he had a great future ahead of him.
And he still does. If he could come home off of this, he still does. And guess what?
Absolutely.
He got a great future in advocacy should he decide to take that up, because this young man, he's one of ours. He's ours.
He is. And my question is, if he isn't the perfect contendant for, let's say, if they were going to give him time, 5 years, who is?
Right.
Straight A student, 2 jobs, captain of the football and the track team, saved the child's life. You know, what more can you ask for?
And my thing is, what teenage boys, some teenage boys get to skate through their adolescence and childhood without getting into a fight or whatever. But my experience in high school, them boys was fighting. I have a son. My son was fighting. Right? I was fighting. I was being suspended from school. You would say I had a propensity for violence, but people was trying to bully me.
Yeah.
And I showed him, because I had moved down here from New York to Florida, and I'm the New York girl. And back in the 90s, you from up north, oh, we don't like you instantaneously. Your man in my face, and at that time, girl, that ain't even your man. Now that I'm older, girl, that was just some boy that you was playing around with.
Right?
You mad because he spoke to me, bitch? I don't know you or him. Why you mad at me? Go fight him. Oh, you want to fight me? Okay, bitch, let's fight.
Right.
Dude try to disrespect me, I'm trying to fight him too, girl. I have one of the most memorable fights in our middle school years down here. Anybody who went to the middle school with me, they will tell you I tried to throw him up over. I'm the reason they put gates up on that because the school, you know, the hallway was outside, so we had like a cement wall, and you could and I tried to throw him. Yeah, and because of me, they put a fence up. Yeah, because he was going over. He was going over. Okay, don't play with me. When I get mad, I get mad. I don't know where the strength come from. I don't know what I be doing. It's just these visions come in my head, and I follow them.
Me too. I think it's the height. I think, you know, as short people, we got to make up for something, so we get superpowers.
Girl, that's the voice be talking and showing me how to do it. Like, throw him over the rail, grab him like this. He's lucky security came. I'm lucky security came because he was going. I had his feet up off the floor. Do you hear me?
Yeah, he was lucky.
You was going, sir, for playing with me.
I know,
but
that's right.
I'm just saying, I had fights. Everybody has gone through fights. So if you telling me that you're going to pull up a record that shows that he has been into fights, that's not going to shock or stun me. If you're going to show me that he had a history of fights, then that's going to explain to me why he's carrying a knife. Well, what were the nature of these fights? What was the reason? Now I got questions. Why were these fights happening? Who were you fighting with? Were you being bullied? What was going on with you? Because guess what? He couldn't have been that bad if he was named captain of the football team. He couldn't have been that bad if he was a straight A student with a 3.8 GPA. He couldn't have been that bad. He couldn't have been that bad. And that's why I said, Mike Howard, you fucked the donkey on this one, because at the end of the day, I would have said, let's go. Put your shit up, because I'm going to put mine up.
He didn't fight. He didn't fight at all. He just took that money and ran him and shook. They like robbed the black community. I'm just going to call it the way it is. I'm sorry. They did. Because I know I put my heart or put coins in.
Stuff like this makes me regret not going to law school. And like I told y'all, I was thinking of going to paralegal school, but I don't even think that paralegal would be good enough for me. I mean, it would, because they're the ones who do all the work anyway.
Yeah.
Truth be told. But
we need people like you,
girl,
that care.
I am almost 50 years old. What's it going to take me? 10 years to become a lawyer? I'm supposed to be a lawyer at 60. Nah, 60, I'm trying to be chilling a little bit.
Yeah, I feel you. You right, but you know, maybe look
at chilling just a little bit. You know,
look, the way Apple Juice be talking, she might be next up.
Nah, she don't want to go into law, even though I've told her that. I said law or politics. You need to be somewhere where it makes a difference, because you have the mouth.
She does. She
You have the
does.
mouth and you stand on your business, right, wrong, or indifferent. You're going to stand on your business and you try to gaslight. Okay. You're perfect. You're perfect.
Leave her alone.
No, you in here trying to gaslight me. I'm like, girl, no. But I don't know. I thought about it. I've talked to some of the lawyers that I've sat on panels with, like Mr. Perkins, like Calvin Johnson. I've spoken to them. They've said go for it. And I'm just like,
I think we should too.
I'm gonna be 48 at the end of this year. I don't give a damn about telling my age because I look good. Okay.
Andrew.
I don't know. Like, where would I start? How would I be able to? I don't even know what the future would look like for me. How long is it going to take me to go to school? Then I got to build a reputation for myself. I got to, I don't know. And then what kind of law am I going to do? Because I'm sorry, I can't defend somebody who I know is guilty.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
If you guilty, don't hire me.
Yeah.
And if I find out that you guilty, I'm dropping you. Because I only fight cases I can win with the truth. And I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I don't know if I can
the part right there.
Listen, I done went through this and I done found this shit and you lied to me. So now I'm not your lawyer no more. You need to go find somebody and there's no refunds. Peace. See you later.
Yeah, you don't got that crooked in you. You gotta be a little bit crooked. a little bit.
And I can't do that because y'all see how I dig for facts. I can't do that.
Yeah.
You're
gonna get all up in it.
I'm gonna end up getting you convicted. You can't no.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get you convicted, sir. You don't want me. Because once I find the truth, I can't lie.
Yeah. You in a good spot too here though to, just raise awareness and speak on it, spread the truth. So, that's just as good if you ask me.
I mean, I could go in and but I don't want to run up no more student loan debt either. I don't want to go be a paralegal just so I can understand. But I think I'm,
yeah.
Maybe I could get a criminal law for dummies book from Barnes and Nobles.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, I can advocate, but this is one of the reasons, in all honesty, why I wanted to change the trajectory of my platform, because I want to make a difference. I want to have a voice. I want to do stuff that matters. And it's hard because there's people out here that don't want to do that. Instead, they just want clicks, likes, and views. And I know that if I was to get up here and start spinning salacious story times and all types of shit, that I would have 5,000 people, instantaneously. I'd have thousands of people in the lives watching. But I always say that it is quality over quantity. But it's a little exhaustive when you're putting stuff out there and you get proven right. Because I told everybody from the beginning that pool picture was bullshit. Yeah. And again, it turned out to be bullshit. But don't nobody, they just be like, okay, she said that, but whatever. Let me go over here because this moves me emotionally.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. People don't want the truth. They just want a story.
But I will say shout out to DL Hughley because DL Hughley followed and liked one of my posts. So that meant a lot to have a comedy follow and like one of my posts. Oh shit, he seen me. You see me. You see me. Dr. Candace Matthews, shout out to her.
Period.
She follows me. She's dope. Okay, don't be liking posting me and shit. I'm like, yes, those that I've been watching. That's watching. That makes you see me.
See, that's what I mean. You're making an impact, regardless.
Yeah,
you are.
So, now Judge Carlos Moore. He follows me. He reposts me. So shout out to him. That's the retired judge from Mississippi. I actually went viral posting him. So shout out to everybody that made that post go up. And I seen he was on Don Lemon. I was like, okay, good. Let me look this. Come on.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Uh-oh, you breaking up.
I said
you're still breaking up. Constitutional law.
Am I?
No. Okay, you sounded clear when you said am I?
Better? that better?
You sound better. There you go. Constitutional law, Peggy. I don't know about the Constitution. I could teach. We can learn about the Constitution. I could go into the members and we could go over the Constitution together. But I don't know if I want to do constitutional law. You talking about civil rights? I don't know, because they be wanting to unalive civil rights leaders.
Yeah. We don't need that. We don't want that smoke. Look,
I'm willing to take the internet smoke, but that smoke in real life. Shout out to everybody that's there. I'll work with you. Exactly. I'll work with you, and I'll protect you while I'm with you. I got your back because I know how I am. And I would rather stand with somebody that I know is doing the work and have their back than to get out there and be the person that's standing for everybody and nobody have my back.
Yeah, I feel that.
So, but anyway, thank you, Bree, for coming up. Thank you, everybody, for tapping in and kicking it. I appreciate y'all.
Can I answer this question real quick?
Go ahead.
It says, what were the Metcalf's GPA just asking?
They claim 4.0, but go ahead and answer and tell the truth.
I was going to say the same thing. They claim that, but we have seen no receipts, but we sure have seen receipts of Carmelo. So there's that. There's that. Just saying. Black scholar. Just saying.
That part.
All right, y'all. I need to go in this grocery store. Love you guys.
Okay. Thank you, Bree. I'm going to drop you down.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You can file lawsuits for those that have been wrongfully arrested. Girl, you still trying to put me with them criminals? Listen, Peggy. I'm going to tell the truth on myself. Y'all do know my baby daddy's an ex-criminal, right? The criminals, gotta stay away from them. No, girl. No. I mean, well, I'm older now, so I really don't have time to be no ride or die chick. You gonna do what? All right. Did you leave bail money on the dresser just in case you get caught? Because I ain't going with you. Okay? Huh? I ain't doing that. Y'all remember that TikTok sound? Every time I rode, I died. I ride, I die. Every time I rode, I died. I ain't got it in me no more. That's me. But baby, it was something about them dudes. I want me a good man. Good man go to work every day, come home. Somebody I could cook dinner for, rub their back, you rub mine. Somebody that like paying bills and spoiling me. Because I deserve to be spoiled. And I'm going to spoil you back. Huh? Want to go on vacations and shit. Want to be swinging from chandeliers and on balconies, putting on scenes like you Usher and Raymond. And the Chris to the Brown. No? Yes. Somebody that we ain't got to be thinking we Beyonce and Jay-Z on the run. I don't care if we on the run. Baby, as long as I'm next to you. No, fuck that. I don't want to run. I done gained weight. I'm going through peri and the menopause. We ain't running nowhere. You hear me? I just want to take a nap. It's 2:00. I want to take a nap. Period. Don't put me over there with them thugs. Because I'm like, huh? I'm playing. Anyway, thank you guys for tapping in and tuning in. I needed to lighten the mood anyway. I love y'all so very much. I appreciate the Henny gang, my day oneers that are here. I appreciate everybody that is new, that is just coming in contact with me. This is brand new, something that I am doing. I am changing trajectories, emotions. I will be bringing back some celebrity gossip as well for y'all, with the pour-ups and things like that. But this is the lane that I am choosing to be in. I love y'all so very much. When y'all rest well. I don't know if I'm coming back. So yeah. Good night, everybody. Just in case. Be sure, if you want a replay gang, let me say this to my replay gang. Replay gang, I love y'all. I love everybody in my lives, and I love my replay gang. I don't address y'all enough. but y'all be running it up, and I appreciate y'all as well. There's Henny gang in that replay gang, and there's new people as well. And whether you agree with me or you don't agree with me, thank you for taking a chance on my channel. Thank you for supporting my channel. Welcome to all of the new people that have followed. I appreciate y'all so very much. Y'all don't know how much y'all comments and y'all interactions, y'all don't know how much that means to a content creator, especially when they are changing the trajectory of their channel. It's scary. It makes you uneasy because you never know where it's going to go, if it's going to be accepted or not. And especially thank you for sitting with a person such as myself who doesn't go along with the popular narratives and actually thinks for themselves and comes to conclusions on their own, even if it's not popular. Thank you for just giving me a chance and hearing me out. That's all I ask. I'm not trying to change your mind, but I'm trying to make you critically think about things and see things differently and step away from the herd. Thank y'all so very much. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's encouraged me. I love y'all so much. Good night, everybody.